We're here with Dr. Ronald Numbers, and maybe you can just tell your background of where you went to school.
Well, I was raised in a family of Seventh-day Adventist ministers, and I attended Seventh-day Adventist schools from first grade through college, graduating from what was then called Southern Missionary College in Tennessee. And as you may know, Seventh-day Adventists were the people who gave the world young earth creationism.
Okay, well, what got you interested in doing the book on the Creationists?
Well, I started out by looking at the history of Adventist involvement in the Creationist movement and wrote an article or two about that, and then was encouraged to do something broader. Wrote an article published in Science about that, and then I needed to get some money for a research leave, and I figured this would be a good topic, and I got it. So it was the money.
Okay, I was just wondering, were you a young earth creationist at one time?
Oh, you bet. You bet. I was a young earth creationist until sometime about 1968, maybe. I was a graduate student at Berkeley, and a friend of mine in neurophysiology and I went down to Stanford to hear a lecture on the fossil forests of Yellowstone, and became convinced that you couldn't explain them in under 30-some thousand years. So that night we both abandoned young earth creationism.
Okay.
It's like a conversion experience, or a deconversion experience.
Okay. Any other future you see? Do you see creationists moving toward old earth, or getting worse or better? Or?
Well, it's very hard to monitor what's going on because the press tends to focus on what's hot at the moment. So during the Dover trial over intelligent design, reporters would say, oh, I guess the young earth creationism is disappearing. And I said, no, there's no evidence for that. Intelligent design just happens to be the activity that's in the courts right now. And sure enough, a few years later, Ken Ham and Answers in Genesis built this $27 million Creation Museum in northern Kentucky. And then people said, oh, you know, that got a lot of interest. So maybe the young earth creationists are really in the ascendancy. I mean, the truth is that nobody knows. There are no reliable polls. I'm convinced that a lot of the public doesn't even know the difference between intelligent design and creationism. And so it's anybody's guess what's going on today. I think both of them are doing reasonably well, but I don't have any statistics to support that.
Okay. Any other comments you'd like to make?
Well, I just say that according to some polls, just about 2/3 of Americans either accept some form of creationism or lean toward it, which would presumably include intelligent design as well. So there's a huge reservoir of support for non-evolutionary ideas in the United States.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.